All right. Podcast number 2 with my special guest, Siddhartha Jardula, reigning champion of Chef Mathematics.
There you go.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm all right. I really enjoy the company of like minds, and I welcome you to the podcast.
That's great. Should we turn this thing over and start?
Yes, please.
Mr. Tony Reale over here? Hold on.
Thank you. You're the holder of time, my friend. Oh!
There we are.
All right. The hourglass has been turned. It's us versus the sand now.
I like the fact that you're wearing my green today and I'm wearing your orange.
This is trivia. What kind of green is it?
It's like a Seattle Seahawk green.
That's exactly what it is. Super Bowl champions.
Is that Kelly green or something? Or
no, I don't think it's Kelly. Yeah, it probably is. I really don't know my greens, but I know my other greens.
We all know our greens.
All right. So I'm learning as I'm going. This is a brand new podcast. It's about metaphysics. It's about real science versus science that we've never seen.
Well, can I ask you a question right off the jump? Because I've really never asked you this question. We've known each other for a while.
Right.
We had a moment in time where we didn't see each other. We were back in the Holy Lands.
Yeah.
Before we were able to return here.
The resurrection.
Yes, to the Mecca, which we are in, which is called Los Angeles, Hollywood, which we both now agree is the spot and we love. And it's so funny that you found metaphysics. But I've never asked you point blank because I've known some people who are involved in metaphysics. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, metaphysics. Mm-hmm. And I asked them, what is metaphysics?
Metaphysics is the being, the science of being. And what is being? It is how you walk and talk. It's how you think and react. It's where you take yourself on the journey through experiences and knowledge. How about that?
That's good.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, when I asked that person who I was friendly with what metaphysics exactly is, and we had talked, and as you know, I'm kind of like a born and raised Catholic, non-practicing, not meditating enough Buddhist right now. I'm very spiritual of sorts, very socially aware and whatnot. And you know who I am. I mean, I'm spiritual of sorts. I don't have a label on it. I would say that I think the Buddhists got it right because their religion is simply just kindness. Mm-hmm. But when I asked that person, getting back to metaphysics, she said it was the state of, like you said, being. What is there? Asking those two questions. What is ultimately there, and how do we exist in that nature? What is there? Mm-hmm. Which is what we talk about. Questioning your conscience, asking those questions and stuff. Our religions that we grew up in. The Catholicism. Actually, the ultimate sin is questioning. God.
Right.
Satan is portrayed in the form of doubt. Don't question. Just accept. And we know how bogus that kind of is right now. But the thing about metaphysics is I just wonder how it kind of differs from Buddhism in a way.
Okay.
I like the way that this is your podcast, and yet I'm asking you the questions here to
Thank
start
you for
off.
having me on, Siddhartha Jardula. I am truly blessed to be here in your presence, and your kingdom is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what was the question?
How does Buddhism differ from metaphysics? I mean, I listened to some of your previous podcasts. I heard a lot of your guests, how they meditated, how they found meditation. But what really differs the metaphysics world from the Buddhism world?
Okay, number one, I just want to put the disclaimer out there. I'm not a Buddhist. I've never studied Buddhism.
Shit.
But I do understand the concept of Buddhism. Hurt nothing and no one, perhaps. And the other one escapes me right now. I was sucked into a vortex. There was no gravity. I began to float. I'm back. The other saying, all life is suffering.
Suffering is a way of life that you have to accept suffering.
There's just a few things that I don't agree with, and I'm no stranger to suffering, but when I look back, I was having fun in the grand scheme of things because I was growing from it. Suffering it's a beautiful experience. Not many people suffer, to be honest with you, because if they suffered truly, they would change their situation as much, as possible. As much as possible. I know some people are pretty much enslaved by their family or spouse or some sort of mental illness. It controls them, and it controls all of us to a certain degree, but some more than others. I don't agree with a lot of it. That's why I never delved into it. The difference between metaphysics is it has truly explained a lot of phenomena in my life that I questioned since the time I can remember. I think we all get our wit right around 7 years old. You start to become you, and your personality never changes from the age 7, and neither does your style, your desires, and what makes you happy. So it began to explain a lot of life that my parents didn't have answers for, my friends didn't have answers for. It just it started to shed light.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I jumped into the metaphysical realm, studying as much as possible in metaphysics.
Nice. I mean, the thing that I was not crazy about. Well, I don't want to say not crazy about metaphysics, but and once again, not getting diving into it deep enough yet. I don't know enough about metaphysics, to question it as much. The whole thesis of the thing that I once questioned was, okay, we're going to question what's there. But what I took through Buddhism, which I thought was the best thing in the world, we talked about this growing up Catholic. When I grew up Catholic before, growing up Catholic, I have a friend who explained to me the theory of the Old Testament versus New Testament. And the Old Testament being that God is simply an alien coming down. He appears out of the clouds in the skies and he tells people he's very punishing and controlling, and, he dictates what's going on. And that Satan was, depicted as a form of doubt once again. And this friend of mine tells me, he used to say, God was an alien. He told the people, he told Satan, you question me, get out. You doubt me, get out. And that's depicted in that way. And then we talk about, the New Testament, which is mostly about Jesus Christ, if not all of it, and, his teachings and whatnot. And there's that theory before, my friend had talked about it, that Julius Caesar and Cleopatra had a baby, and before that baby can be killed, it was sent off to northern India, where it learned Buddhist ways, and then it returned. So when you see a lot of Buddhists, when they read, different passages from Jesus and whatnot, and they say, oh, Jesus was a Buddhist. And that's the thing to me that was so great. That one point in my life, when I was questioning things, I was like, man, I felt so guilty, Do I listen to the Catholics? Do I go their way? Do I go to confession? Do I make sure that, I'm confirmed? I have my communion? My penis is snipped? All that stuff that need to be done so that when I get up to the pearly gates, I can check it, give it to Moses and say, here's my checklist. Is that the right thing to do? Or if I go with my Jewish friends and listen to them, is it the Torah they have? Is the Torah they study?
Yeah, it is a Torah.
If I study the Torah and I get that right, and I don't eat pork, and you know what I'm saying? Like when I get up to the pearly white gates when I die, am I going to take a blood test to make sure that I don't have pork in my system? Or even when you go to Muhammad, Islam, the core of all their religions is definitely about peace and stuff. But I always question which one is right. Which one do I choose, or am I going to burn in hell? But then I studied Buddhism, and that's when I was able to release. Because, Buddhists simply say, when it comes to that, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And if you're a kind, loving person, if you actually follow Jesus' ways and you act more Christ-like, rather than just kiss his ass, you have to believe in your heart that, if there is a God and there is rules, he's going to accept you and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it's finding that fine line between what is and what not. I didn't learn to be kind and a mensch to my friends because if I didn't, God was going to punish me. I learned to do it, because I was even taught by Jesuit nuns when I went to Catholic school. The small Catholic school I went to was Jesuit nuns. And they were about like the Pope nowadays, and saying just doing it because it feels good and it's love. It's more of a Buddhist type of way.
Yeah, that's the butter melter making an entrance. I just want to say the Prophet Muhammad was a great man, and we learned a lot from him. He spoke to an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But that was the butter melter. A very funny,
that's the mascot, right?
Funny cat with a funny face. Found him at the. This is a funny story. Side note. He was. Do you know the Simpsons cat lady?
Yeah, vaguely, I think I've seen. I'm not a big Simpsons guy. I'm more of a Family guy.
Okay, this could be a myth, but I think it's the truth. The Simpsons cat lady lives in Echo Park. Mm-hmm. And she used to have so many cats in her backyard that lived in dog kennels that they were breeding like crazy. I mean, it was a
this doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah. So I managed a building right. We were back-to-back neighbors.
Okay, behind each other.
So behind me, if the wall went up about 20 feet, you know how sometimes in California you can have those extended front yards. Well, she had a backyard like that since we're all living on hills and whatnot.
He looks like a sphinx.
Yeah, he's
like an Egyptian cat.
He's got something.
Beautiful.
Came from the Sirius star system, I think.
Did the Egyptians worship cats?
They did not worship cats.
No, they didn't. No. Son of Anubius, they did not worship cats.
I think they had a great appreciation for cats. And I also said that cats look into other dimensions.
Wow, she is beautiful. She's like it. Well, I know you can't see her at home, but just trust me, she is beautiful.
She used to have balls.
Can we talk about, too, like what we were talking about before? Before we got on the podcast, I was kind of talking to Son of Anubius about, what the ultimate debate is. It's like all these wars in the world and all these killings and, different ethnic backgrounds and whatever. It's all about the arguments, more or less, about what happens after we die.
Okay.
More than anything. I mean, if you think about it in its nutshell, you know what I'm saying? It's the argument. I mean, most of them, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of differences between, how we live in society today between, Islam, Judaism, and Catholicism. But for the most part, it's about, at its core, it's about being, really, lovable and kind to one another and, don't eat meat on Fridays, whatever the case may be. But it's about the argument about where we go and what happens after. Sorry if I interrupted you.
Okay. No interruption at all. Let me respond to that by saying, I don't know that wars are about ideas. I think wars are about money.
They are.
So somebody has something that somebody wants, and you start a war with them.
No doubt. And I think the minority is controlling the majority. But they use to control the majority of the people, the puppets, through the thought process of religion more than anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can see there's a radical group in this country that's holding on to the very threads. They're still going around, and trying to stop abortion because of their religion. And what happens after? Yeah. That's what separates them.
Well, Karl Marx said religion is the opiate of the masses.
It is.
So...
You know what else he said, too? Never trust a man who doesn't drink enough wine.
Funny.
Karl Marx said that.
I think you can check my recycling bin. There is a bottle of Barefoot $5.99 wine.
Ooh. What did you have to eat with it?
Astro Burger.
Nice.
This segment is brought to you by Astro Burger.
That's a good combination between the two.
What happened was I had a podcast last night with the Black God. I hope you listened to it. It's called Podcast with Black God. A very interesting fellow. Definitely brethren from other planets and almost physical family, as his older brother was my best friend, one of my best friends, and we went to high school together. And it's great that he lives out here because I'm from A-Leaf, Texas. A-Leaf until I die. Swack, bitch. Swat.
How far is that from Waco?
About 3 hours. I've never been to Waco, but I think it's close to College Station. Mm-hmm. And It's like an hour away from College Station.
It's where Baylor plays. It's kind of funny because every time Baylor plays, it's live from Waco, Texas. It's like, damn,
the Branch Davidians, baby.
That was a crazy situation too, as well.
That's when you can control people's mind. Let's say this. I don't want to bash on religion because I think it helps a lot of people. It helped me when I was younger. And then when I was older and I figured out, what the heck? And I started thinking metaphysically versus historically. The Branch Davidians, what's his name, David Koresh, he used religion as a tool to control people. And, you take that, you mix it with a charismatic character and perhaps attractive looks. It's a very dangerous combination. You can start to control people. And religion is about control, if you ask me. And some people need control, and some people don't need control. You tell me who's better.
I don't know. So, it's... Because sometimes I question that same thing. It's like...
Right.
Sometimes, religion is good for some people. I don't know.
Right.
It's not for everybody, but it is... unfortunately, there is a large amount of small-minded people consumed with minuscule things that just really do need control of religion. The only problem is that, there are a lot of people out there who know that, and they sink their muffs into it to control people for negative and personal needs, rather than,
Yeah. There's a little bit of hypocrisy, if you say you're a man of religion, but violence is second nature to you. This is, hypocritical of what the teachings say. So, are you religious, or are you saying you're religious? It's a very, very thin line.
That's the thing that's crazy about America. America's now wrapped in religion and politics together. They say they're religious, what I'm saying, and everything about them, is going to war, just taking from the poor, inequality at its highest level now in America and stuff like that, and they just, people in one party who are controlling that say they're religious, but yet they're not religious. It's a shame because Jesus was a socialist, he was a communist of sorts. He gave to the poor, and you can see America still, showing its ugly colors through this whole Obamacare thing. It's about getting poor people help physically.
Yeah,
help.
And those with mental illnesses, holla at your boy.
Yeah.
But this is more of a political talk. Let's take it to a metaphysical realm and experience what possibly could be. Do you think that the planets have any sort of control over our emotions?
Well, you talk about the other planets and stuff.
Yeah, let's say
you're talking more like a
Jupiter, Saturn. We can include the moon.
I've never questioned a lot of things like that. I wouldn't doubt that they could, that there is some form of energy. I believe that a lot of those horoscope things are just like energy charts and different emotions and feelings and timings coming and whatnot. I don't believe that there is a predetermined way for us. In other words, you hear those people say, just go through life. Your life it's already been decided what's happening with you. Bullshit. No, it's not. Do I believe the planets have a role to play in that? Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, let me say this. On nights of the full moon, you have more rapes, murders, burglaries, assaults than any other night or night cycle of the moon. Mm-hmm. That moon has some sort of draw. The full moon, the story of the werewolf. Mm-hmm. It has some. What does it really bring out of you?
I just believe there's a lot more energy and vibe for people on Adderall and Coke and those. To tell you the truth, I'm just joking when I say that, but I can't explain that. Do I think it might have something to do with the energy? Once again, yes, I do. But more or less, I would blame society for setting that blueprint for those things to happen.
encouraging it by
exactly just by the way we live. The society we're raised in. We're such a sense of individualism right now. You know what I'm saying? We're just fucked up mentally. We're messed up mentally. We're screwed up in the head, And maybe the full moon might encourage that type of behavior, or might kind of set as a launching pad to move that forward. But we have to look into things ourselves and where we're sending. We create all these issues ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
If I see one more bus poster of Liam Neeson with a gun, I'm going to go buy me a gun.
Why?
Every corner I turn, it's Liam Neeson with a gun. He's holding a gun.
I know.
In that movie, whatever it is.
You know what the problem is people out there nowadays believe in fictional stuff. It's all fantasy, rather than reality, what's really happening, what's going on, And then they have the medicated, prescribed drugs to help them set them off and do that. I mean, it's just disgusting nowadays, It's really bad, the society we've become whatnot. So as well. So,
let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you believe that the soul can astral project, which means in your sleep, take off and view the world through your spirit?
I believe you have a better chance of doing that through meditation than you do probably sleeping. Mm-hmm. But if you don't meditate, sleep will probably be the only form that you could do that. Yes, I believe that you can, I believe there's some type of, antenna, some beacon of range, whatever, to feel that. And that's why I believe that the Buddhists have got it right. They meditated. And I believe that the Buddhists have found the way to get more answers and question in that stage. And the Indians were somewhat upon that too as well. I believe the Native Americans were kind of a form of Buddhism, Buddhist in ways, but, through plague and sickness, a lot of them died off. Children were the only ones who were able to survive, so they kind of found that form of way of, spirituality, of metaphysics through smoke and meditation as well. So,
all right, I like that. Do you think cats worship a god?
I think a cat doesn't worship shit besides meow mix and whatnot. I believe it's just a creature that doesn't have a conscience as much as, to think, but just to act instinctively.
Okay, but cats display a range of emotions.
They do.
So that means there's intelligence.
There is some form of intelligence, whatnot, but I don't believe that they worship anything.
Okay, let's take it on a grander scale. Let's say wild cats, big cats in the jungle. I'm talking cougars. I'm talking.
I just think they're constantly live on a high string emotion and worried about what they're going to do to survive and what they're going to eat, whatnot.
You ever see a cat lay in the sun?
Yeah.
Do you think maybe they worship the sun?
I just think they like the heat.
Do you think the Egyptians noticed that cats worship the sun first and then figured it out?
I have to be honest with you. I don't doubt any of these things because, once again, going back to the Buddhist religion and stuff, there is a place in Thailand where it's a temple where because of, they moved all these tigers out of this one area because of construction and whatnot, and these tigers fled, and they now live with the Buddhists in their temple together, and they walk, and there's some type of weird connective energy with them all, where there's wild tigers just came in, and they just live with all these Buddhist monks. The Buddhist monks let them in, and now they live together. There's literally 30 tigers all around the place, whatnot, and everything like that.
The reason I asked that question, because sometimes I feel like I'm throwing you some boomerangs right now. The harder I throw, the faster it'll come back, the faster I throw it, the harder it'll come back.
Yes.
And sometimes going on a loop makes you use different muscles in your brain.
Absolutely.
And different neurons start to fire, and you start to think completely differently. And that is a high in its own.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that is because I figured out the Sphinx is worshiping the sun. I just figured that out.
You did.
Well, that's my take. But why is the cat facing, when the sun rises, it hits the cat?
I think the cat's just like the heat, man. I don't know, man.
Because, okay, let's say cats were around 5,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say, when was dog domesticated? Dogs were around too.
Okay.
Those were your best friends sometimes 5,000 years ago. Maybe that's where the term man's best friend comes from. Okay, so the connection with animals was a lot stronger or respected a lot more because human learns from animal 100% of the time. Human has never taught animal anything. What do you think about that? That we don't teach animals anything other than obedience, which is ridiculous, you know, things like that. Ridiculous in the sense of instinctually.
Yeah.
We look at an animal and we can learn. We learn from apes. We learn from monkeys. Cats. We learn from dogs. We learn from
evolution.
Well, evolution has never sat down and talked to you, but
no, I know. We learn. Yeah, absolutely. I think we always learn. You know, like you said, the only thing that they've learned from us is obedience. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. But hey, once again, I think that's just nature's way of teaching us and showing us whatnot. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I don't know if there's any other species besides us. And I could be wrong.
I think birds understand the sun. It's a very pivotal part of their life.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's more about them too.
Oh, okay. Well, let's put it like this. Do you think animals have a greater appreciation for the sun than humans do?
Yes. 1,000%. They have a greater appreciation for everything on Earth than us, I think, you know what I'm saying? Once again...
It takes me back to when you were saying we are fucked up as a general statement.
We are consumed.
With what?
With everything right now. Right now I'm concerned with anything more. The thing I'm consumed with the most right now, sorry.
That's okay.
Is my money in my wallet, my pocket. And everything else is just a run and a chase from that. You know what I'm saying? Even the fact that I know what's more important, I still can yet not focus on that. And, this. It's like we're thrown into a game right now. At this, we're the same age. Where we're born in life right now, and what we're experiencing, how the world is turning, where we're from, we're thrown into like a game. You know what I'm saying? And we're made to believe that us being in this game is much better than the majority of humans in the world and their game, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? We really are. I mean, what are we here to do but other than to just try to thrive in capitalism somehow?
Do you want me to tell you what your game piece is?
My what piece is?
Game piece.
What is it?
Social security number.
It is. I thought you were going to tell me I was the box or the horseshoe or the iron. No, that is your game piece. That's a great analogy. And then, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm still trying to land on free parking. But the last time I landed on free parking, I was playing with a bunch of guys who you don't get the money in the middle. Free parking.
Life is definitely a game. It's not a destiny. We don't have destiny. Why don't humans have destiny? Because no other animal on the planet has destiny. So why should we be so arrogant to think we have destiny? We have no destiny. We are a cog in the machine of nature.
I believe that.
We are helping nature evolve.
Yes.
We are, basically nature's
biological test.
Well,
biological game piece. I think Matthew McConaughey said it in True Detectives too as well. This whole sense of individualism. Oh, just save me, and you're meant to do this, and we all think we're special. No, it's just like, we're nature's pawns.
What I was thinking is, look at it in a different way. We are nature's, now it escaped me again. Can you believe that? Facilitators. We are nature's facilitators. We are forcing nature to evolve by the way we treat the planet.
Yeah.
But, I want to tell you, I went in the wrong direction for that final statement. Not the way we treat the planet, but the way we used to treat the planet. Like, I have so much respect for Native Americans. They were nature's facilitators. Mm-hmm. Right now, I can't consider our people nature's facilitators any longer. We've been destroying nature.
Yeah.
As a whole, and everyone who abides by it is a contributor in sorts. I mean, if your parents said you're not going to school tomorrow, because I don't want you to be a part of this carbon footprint.
Yeah.
And then another person did it, and another person did it, and another person did it. All of a sudden, the system would have to change.
Yes.
So we are contributing by saying, okay. And why are we saying okay? Because people on TV say okay all day. You know?
Well, if you don't say okay,
well,
unfortunately, you'll just twiddle away.
What I do mean by saying okay is life imitates art, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. And art is on television for us. Mm-hmm. And what you see on TV is what you get in real life. Mm-hmm. And that's a way to make people say yes. Absolutely. Without them knowing that they're saying yes.
Brainwashed.
Brainwashes. So it makes people cringe, like, oh, not another guy who thinks people are brainwashed. But what if your brain isn't washed? Your brain is just handed to you. Here you go.
Programmed.
This is what you like.
Yeah.
It's on TV. That means you like it. It's on your dinner plate. That means you like it. It's, you know what I mean? And all right.
Does that make a sound when I kick it?
It sounds like somebody just broke in.
Really?
And started screaming FBI.
Somebody did start screaming FBI.
Now FBI is listening, but that means I have
Hello, FBI.
3 more listeners than before. Thank you. Very happy about that. I want to say this, man. I love you so much. You changed my life when I met you, because you're one of the few and one of the first people that I ever saw true honesty come from.
Thank you.
You are so transparent, and it's one of the most beautiful things in the world. Mm-hmm. So I've always wanted to say that to you. And
thank you, man. Well, while we're kissing on a podcast, I'd like to return the compliment too as well, Omar. I'm not gonna lie. To me, what attracted me to you was your happiness. I learned that it was just, I loved your smile and seeing you happy all the time. And to me, you taught me that it's just important to be positive and happy all the time. Because we knew each other at times, just like now, in the so-called world of life, of the resume of life, some people might say we're struggling. But it's like we said, we'd rather struggle out here than go be successful anywhere else out there because of what we want to do and stuff. But learning from you the happiness that you always had, I love that. And I love seeing you smile and being happy and whatnot. It's the way to live.
Thanks, man. I have a philosophy on life, and it flew into my head right now. But happiness is not a state of being, it's an experience. Mm. If you're in a room and you're experiencing happy, that's true happiness. Mm-hmm. If you think you're going to be happy because you buy a car, that's, when you get it and you're happy for that first 48 hours, mm-hmm. and then it starts to get some stains on it from driving out there, and it looks like the old car you used to have about 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Then you're not really happy, but you made the investment.
Yes.
And you're going to pretend to be happy.
Siddhartha Jardula has something that Siddhartha Gautama once said. He said, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions.
Wow. That just came to you?
No, that's Siddhartha Gautama.
Oh.
That's that's the Buddhist. That's me quoting Siddhartha Gautama from Siddhartha Jardula right now at this moment in time.
That was beautiful.
It's like what I told you, my philosophy was, my theory in life, what keeps me going sometimes, was that quote from Jackie Robinson, the great Jackie Robinson. For those of you out there who are living under a rock and don't know who Jackie Robinson is, he's the baseball player that helped break the color barrier years and years ago. They just made the movie 42. And this magnificent man had many quotes, and he once said, a life is insignificant unless it has special impact on others.
Right.
So that's something I live by too as well.
Fantastic.
I want to impact people with that happiness. That split, Omar smile.
Well, the son of Anubis is back.
Oh, I'm sorry, the son of Anubis. A little bit loud there, my bad.
That's okay.
I thought I was coming over to talk about fantasy football. We're talking about the theory of life here.
Do you watch the league?
I don't watch the league, but I am almost done with the first season of Boardwalk Empire.
Steve Buscemi, one of my favorite actors.
Have you watched it?
No.
With HBO Go now, you can watch them all in one time. I told you, you're no on Game of Thrones, man. What's wrong with you there?
Game of Thrones would have been great if it was an hour and a half.
Stop. Dude, that is like the craziest show out there. Have you seen the True Detectives?
Not yet.
True Detective's pretty cool. There's only 7 episodes, but that's really kind of that question. That show is so much about religion, and Matthew McConaughey plays a pessimist in the greatest way, and you just start thinking about all different types of religion, and you start questioning everything when you watch that show. It's great.
All right, I got to check that out then. Is it on Netflix?
It's not on Netflix, but Trailer Park Boys is, by the way.
Trailer Park Boys.
You should watch that with Ricky and Bubbles and Julian.
I'll check that out.
Mr.
Trailer Park Boys.
Trailer Park Boys.
Okay, I'll let you know what I think.
Nova Scotia's Seinfeld.
Some people don't know what Nova Scotia is. You thought they didn't know what the other thing was?
Isn't that
Jackie Robinson?
Jackie Robinson, yeah.
They don't know what you just said. Nova what?
Scotia.
It's a cold place, people.
It's where a lot of seafood comes from. It's in the very northeast part of the continent, pretty much. Northern part of Canada up there. So it gets really cold and whatnot, but yeah, Nova Scotia.
Did you hear about the underwater pyramid that was just discovered in the Atlantic?
Is this... Do we have pictures on this thing, or...?
I can pull it up.
No, I believe you and stuff like that. But did that really happen? Is that the whole Atlantis talk and stuff? That maybe Atlantis sunk and...
Okay, let's say this.
We're going to talk about Atlantis, because if we're going to talk about Atlantis, we have to have a segment on Aquaman, because I want to talk about Aquaman.
Let's get into this. Why do you think the Atlantic Ocean is called the Atlantic Ocean? Where did the... Okay, let's call it the Atlantic.
This is not fair. I should get a list of the questions like Black God get, so I have them. I'm ready. Like now, I feel like a boy who hasn't done his homework and stuff. I do not know why the Atlantic Ocean has been called the Atlantic. Was it something with the subcontinental ridge or something, and then it split up, and that's when they named it? I don't know.
It's been named for a pretty long time, right?
Yes. It was named before my lifetime.
Yeah. Well, I wonder why things are called what they are. I wonder that, and I wonder the meaning of words.
Okay.
And today, we're going to get back to this topic real quick, but I want to tell you how important that is. I was thinking about the insect, the bee.
Okay.
And I said, why did they name it a bee? Why not something else?
Why did they name it a bee?
I don't know, but I think about.
You think about why they did name it.
And
no fear. Noah's Ark is coming out next month by Darren Aronofsky, and Noah has all the animals, so maybe we'll have the answers to the question of that movie.
Funny,
but Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. So
because of Atlantis,
perhaps. I mean, have you ever
couldn't
seen?
They have named Atlantis after Atlantic?
But what was Atlantic? Why was it given those? Why was it assigned those names? It could have been called Colonus. I'm telling you, okay, in history today.
It makes sense when you said the Pacific Ocean is on the Pacific time, whatever, or.
But all of that was, who knew about Pacific time back then?
The Mayans.
They didn't figure out time first, and then name the oceans.
So you think it could have been named Atlantic after the Atlantis and Atlantis? So what is Atlantis just sunk to the bottom of the ocean?
I don't know the. Yeah, it got hit by an asteroid or a meteor, and it sunk. Supposedly, allegedly, but nobody ever knows because our history and humans have always recorded history. Our history at those times it's not around.
No, it's not.
It was burned.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Dude, that's the whole thing is that, that's why I do like metaphysics, Buddhism. What about questioning what's going on today? Because who knows what the hell happened back then? It's all that writing can be so obscured and whatnot.
Do you believe history repeats itself?
I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know if I necessarily believe it. I believe that I create my history.
What happens when you wipe out a forest in nature? Let's say you wipe it out.
You can wipe out species. You can wipe out culture. You can burn its records. You can completely wipe its existence away.
Well, let's just say you went in with a bulldozer.
Yes.
Wiped down the Amazon, all of it.
Yes.
And then said, my work is done, and you leave. What do you think will happen?
I think whatever's closest to it will come in and kind of...
Don't you think the trees will grow again?
Yeah, maybe.
Don't you think the flowers will grow again?
Yeah.
So nature, repeats itself.
Yeah, but I think you'll have different flowers, different flowers, different trees, different things that will, depending on what the cultures are next to it that came in there and planted there and whatnot. You can change the whole landscape of it. I mean, I think some form of growing is going to happen. If rebirth is going to happen, repeat itself identically? I don't think so.
Okay, so I mean, on a very small scale. Let's say you just mowed down the Amazon.
Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from, and I agree with you. Yes, but once again, a lot can be dictated from what comes to that region and that area next of the Amazon that was wiped out.
New species.
Yes,
I like that.
There was living in South Florida. I can tell you at one point, we'd hear the story of the Everglades when you go on these airboat rides. And at one point, one real estate investor wanted to dry out the whole area. He wanted to dry out the whole area. So he dropped from a small plane, back in the days, the old school planes, dropped thousands and thousands of paper tree seeds, hoping these paper trees would come up, absorb all the water, and dry out the land, and he would have all the land. It never happened. Different species came of it. Whatnot. Right now, they have an issue with all these people. They actually have snake issues in the Everglades because they've had people who've had pet snakes, like cobras and other, Boyamese pythons that don't belong in that area, and letting them loose out in that area. So they've gone into that area, and they've changed the whole culture. Growing up in South Florida, we used to have the green lizards, almost like the color of yours right there, with the tails, with that, the Geico lizard. We would have all over the place. But now the Geico lizard is extinct because now they have this kind of bulldog lizard, which tail is curled up, that has dominated the small species. When I went back years and years ago, after Hurricane Andrew had wiped out a couple of pet stores, believe it or not, one particular pet store around South Florida in the Boca Raton area had a bunch of these iguanas. They all got out, but it was the perfect climate for them. So one time when I went back to Boca, I saw these big, beautiful iguanas. I'm talking like 3 foot, 4 foot, and the big orange, bright ones. I was like, where the hell is this? But it happened. Nature evolved, but it changed. Then after one cold, cold winter, a big species, like 80% of the species got killed in Boca Raton. Now you just see them everywhere, and every once in a while in Boca Raton hanging around. But you know what I'm saying? Different things can change the species and the area and the cultures that are there. There will be some form of life. There will be some form of repeating itself, but so much depends on where and when and, what's going on.
How close is a son to his father? What is the, let's say you come out and you look like your pops.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you think the degree is of change? Because they truly, usually come out to be different people.
Mm-hmm.
So the mind is usually, I don't know. Let me take that back. I think sometimes if your pops was in the food business, you would be in the food business too. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we come out just like them, right? Mm-hmm. What the degree of difference?
Yeah.
How long would it take to change in evolution?
Here's the thing. First of all, being close, connected with your father and whatnot, sometimes when, you evolve to do the same things he does, it's because of the culture. You're brought up in the same culture, you're kind of the same ways, and it's whatnot. But if you were to take, for example, some little boy and separate him from his father, I still believe there's a connective form of energy from that person that exists within them. You know what I'm saying? And even though things might be different about them, there'll still be that form of connectivity between a father and son because he comes from that sperm. And he comes from that piece of energy. You know what I'm saying? And that energy will always coexist with each other.
Well, what do you think that connection is on a spiritual level? What do you think that is? Do you think that when...
That is the life's hocus pocus.
Well, do you think that...
That is the Houdini.
Do you think you are able to feel emotions of a family member when you're not in the same room, area, state?
Yes.
Tell me what you think about that.
Well, that's that form of connectivity and energy. That's that connection. You know what I'm saying? I think we've talked about this before. I don't know if I believe 1,000%, but when I say the Buddhists got it right and stuff like that, I believe in reincarnation more than anything else. And I believe how conscious and the cognizance of that, Once again, I believe you can if you're receptive to it. If you make yourself receptive to it. If you make yourself open to energy. You meditate, whatnot. You'll feel that connection with those people who are close to you, bloodlines, whatnot.
Do you
FBI?
Yeah, that's FBI. They're back. 3 more listeners, though.
I know. That's it. We're getting more. Every single time we get ratings, we just get more. Our ratings double.
Hey, the good word gets around.
It does.
You know, where else are you going to get a show about metaphysics and hip-hop? Tell me about some hip-hop enjoyment in your life right now.
We were talking about it, and MF Doom's got a new album coming out with, I got to look it up, but once again, you know, if you don't know MF Doom out there, MF Doom is one of the craziest hip-hop stories of all time. He got his birth with a group called KMD, which goes back to old-school New York hip-hop. Around the birth, if you don't remember Third Bass, let me remind you. Third Bass was like the first kind of like white hip hop guys out there before
Gasface.
Yeah, Gasface. Well, the Gasface song was done with KMD, and KMD was a group of 2 guys, Sub Rock and MF Doom, who had a different name back in the day. It was Sem Love Brother of sorts. Sem Love Brothers, some unique name like that. I should know this, being hip.
You don't have to know everything, but it's in your soul.
Yes, he was on the Gasface video, whatnot, and this was an up and coming band. If you know, it's called what were they called? It was Sub Rock and I forgot what they KMD. Like I said, KMD. If you listen to some old KMD stuff, it's great. They had an album or 2, but then Sub Rock died, and MF Doom at the time, under his different alias, just kind of quit. He up and moved. He left New York and he went to Atlanta and he retreated of sorts. And you know, being so hurt by losing his cousin in Sub Rock, he just became sort of he warped into his alter ego, which was a very, you know, he used to watch the Godzilla movies back in the days, whatnot. He never takes an interview without the gladiator mask on. Unless you know him personally, or you've been involved in shows backstage and seen him with his mask off, you won't see a picture with him without the mask off. And, you know, he's just this ultimate underground guy who does all these collaborations with these great albums, with these great artists. Danger Mouse, he did the Danger Doom album. Right. MF Doom and Danger Mouse together, Danger Doom. And it was actually a collaboration for Adult Swim on Cartoon Network, and they did all the songs. They used different shows at the time. Like, in other words, on that, if you listen to the Danger Doom album, you'll hear Shake call in throughout the album. He calls in 3 times. Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. He's just so desperately wants to work with MF Doom that he constantly leaves messages on MF Doom's voicemails. But, hey, Doom, Shake here. You know, I heard you're doing an album with somebody else, and I'm very disappointed. But it's just a great, fun album. He also did another album by himself where he produced most of the music. It was called King Ghidorah, if you go back a while. And King Ghidorah was actually the name of a 3-headed flying Tiamat dragon. Dungeons & Dragons fans called Tiamat, which was the ultimate 5-headed dragon. A Tiamat was a different headed dragon. So King Ghidorah, from the old Godzilla dub movies back in the days, was the name of a character. It was the name of a 3-headed dragon that was attacking the world. And actually, at this time, Godzilla acted as a hero to the Japanese people and came and defeated King Ghidorah. So he made this whole album behind this alter ego of King Ghidorah. And it's just an amazing album. You have all those samples of, you know, the Godzilla movies, We Are Here to Conquer the Earth and whatnot. And
those make a song sometimes.
It's, you know what? And this guy's the king of it. When he retreated to Atlanta, this is what he did. He went into hiding. And then he came out with the mask. And that was his alter ego. MF Doom. And
maybe Atlanta was code for Atlantis.
Maybe. You know, and MF Doom probably sunk it because he was upset. But what a great, you know, a lot of people know this guy never performs without the mask, and he was accused 4 years ago of sending an imposter to a show here in LA for New Year's Eve while doing a show himself in Japan. Nice. Like he was at 2 places at one time. That any artist who can do that, my friend, is straight gangster. And gangster in the good way.
I mean, you had to think that it can be proven if there was ticket sales. You know, it's as simple as that.
It'd be hard to kind of cross-reference those records all the way across the world in Japan.
If they were secret performances, that might have been.
Well, that's the whole thing. They believed in the LA show that was just a guy on with a mask, a hoodie, and went on stage, and he puts the mic right here. You know, and he did 3 or 4 songs and he bounced. 3 or 4 songs and he bounced. That's gangster stuff, and he got paid for both. My friend was backstage, and the promoter said, everybody's got to leave backstage now or Doom's not coming on. And it was kind of weird because he's not like that. So everybody had to leave backstage. because they didn't want nobody identifying him or talking to him and whatnot. So, I mean, I think it was kind of, my friend did the show. It was kind of, my friend actually spun for KRS-One that night. And KRS-One opened for Doom. That's how big Doom is. Doom is like worldwide. Got, you know, and you got to get out there and check him out. I mean, right now, MF Doom, his new album, you can find the guy. He's, while you talk real quick, let me tell you who he's doing the collaboration with. But
I'm going to throw this in with a commercial for my Twitter, @MatterConscious. Spell it. You can figure it out. @MatterConscious. What you can do is send You can send your Twitter, 140 characters. Let me know what you want to talk about, what topic you want me to discuss, and perhaps if you have questions for our special guest. I'm not going to be checking them, but feel free to send them in. But other news.
His name is Bishop Nehru, so it's going to be called Nehruvian Doom.
Nice.
And it's coming out soon. And you can see a clip right now of them just talking. You can actually see MF Doom sitting down. And this new kid, Bishop Nehru, who is from, I believe, London. I could be wrong. I could be quoting wrong. But that's the new collaboration album coming out. I'm very excited. Anytime this guy has any albums out, it's great. I mean, if you haven't heard of him, it's a shame that, you know, in the mainstream, that they just don't get to hear music like this. My friend, when I introduced him to him, I said, "What do you think?" I gave him 3 MF Doom albums. One of them was actually it was called Mad Villain, and it was collaboration with Madlib. And if you don't know who Madlib is a producer, artist of sorts. He actually goes by the alter ego of Quasimodo at times too,
nice.
Which he hip hops over to like a little voice changer that makes him sound like this. But Madlib's father was a jazz musician back in the days, so the guy is and that's what underground hip hop really kind of cultures to, that funky, jazzy, bluesy, boom, boom, boom. You know, back to Madlib. Madlib's the son of a jazz musician, and father was a jazz musician back in the days. So Mad Villain was another collaboration they did as well. Another great album, and you know.
Let me ask you this: when you listen to an album like MF Doom or the collaboration albums, what happens to you spiritually?
You know what? That's kind of interesting because a lot of this stuff. The reason why I've kind of matriculate towards this music is because it does take me away spiritually, physically, mentally. You know, it makes me feel like there's just more going on than just me. You know, I get lost in his story, his journey, and all his albums. He just has a way of doing that more than anybody. And in some weird way, I just feel more pure. I feel like I'm just more free, spiritually free. You know, if that makes sense, because I just go on this kind of journey of, you know, and that's what hip hop does. It's just not about, you know, and don't get me wrong, I get very distracted in the girl scene and the woman scene and the practicality and the simple stuff that you get, you know, just, we're so consumed with making money and chasing ass sometimes you can get so consumed. And the music is all about that. So you're really not leaving, you're not traveling anywhere spiritually or mentally. But when you listen to guys like this, you know, MF Doom being one, you're free. You're somewhere else. You're not in the everyday, typical world. You're free.
You believe in reincarnation?
Of course I do.
Do you think that we reincarnate into...
Can I say something?
Please.
I think it's the best theory out there right now. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the other ones exist. Because once again, like I told you, ultimately, we don't know what's out there after what there is. So I always concentrate on trying to enjoy the journey. But yes, reincarnation would be my top of the line theory.
Do you think it's possible to come back as other animals and insects?
Yes. Depending on your state of mind.
Okay, so basically...
I believe if you were very impulsive, you didn't release yourself, you didn't meditate and got yourself out there to be more free, you'll have less control of where you want to go. I believe there's some type of energy kind of, radar that will find something out there. So I believe that some people, I don't know if they'll necessarily be, created back into ants or whatnot, but that energy's got to go somewhere.
All right, let's say nature. Let's say we are not just a force of nature, but also a part of nature. Mm-hmm. Humans these days don't feel like they're a part of nature.
Yep.
There's separation between nature, but we are natural beings that come from this planet. Mm-hmm. We are not aliens that decided this is our home.
We don't know that.
Okay.
But I do believe we're one of the Earth. I believe we're born from this Earth. I believe this is, who knows? We could have been an experiment dropped off by another planet. Right?
With an Earth-like atmosphere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a drop of something, it dropped in this planet's atmosphere to spread like a virus. Just consuming and destroying everything in its past.
Wow.
In its path, excuse me. I mean, we don't know. But I do believe personally that we are from this Earth. We are a byproduct of nature.
Yeah, and what this goes back to reincarnation, like this. If you are going to be reincarnated, what have you been doing your whole entire life? It is collecting information. And based on the type of information you collect is what you will be reincarnated as. A theory. Just a theory. Just a question.
No, you know what? I believe it's somewhat like that. Once again, I believe that what you've experienced or what you've allowed yourself to experience, which is the beautiful part about metaphysics. The girl I was hanging out that was involved in metaphysics, I love her because she knew how to expand her mind. She knew how to question stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I believe your experiences and what you allow yourself to experience and what knowledge you've allowed yourself to gain is somewhat of a co-pilot of moving you on to that next being or next living thing. And I strongly believe that, you know what I'm saying? And, I think there was once a movie where, the Buddha was kept on being reborn into something else. And it was the mission of the next guy to find that person. It's weird, but, I believe it's some form of your wings and your propelling, and, to move you on to something else,
Why do some humans look like animals? Not some, all of them. Let's say everyone has an animal that they resemble. Let's just say that, like in their facial features.
What do I look like?
A penguin.
I thought as a good friend you would give me something fucking good, like a lion or some shit. You look
like
a duck-billed platypus, my man. How about that?
I do see the lion mane.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Be a friend here. You just told me you love me, and you made me a friggin' penguin. Oh, man.
I was looking at the tuxedo. For some reason, I just pictured you in a tuxedo.
I would have took baboon or orangutan or something.
No, you got a lion. You definitely have.
Don't start backpedaling now.
No.
I'm a penguin. Let's leave it be.
You're a penguin with a lion's mane.
Hey, here you go. Put a positive on a negative. I appreciate that, brother. What did you study at University of Houston?
Film production. What's up, Craig Crow? Go Cougs!
Cougs!
Film production and global business. And I learned so much in my global business minor that it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Because if you think about it, in life you make about 7 decisions.
Okay.
7 big ones that are the bookends of the journey of your whole life.
Okay. What are they?
I don't know, but one of them. I think they're different for everybody. Yeah. As in, there's not a general that but.
Do you ever see True Romance?
Yeah, beautiful movie.
You remind me of Christopher Walken. There are 13 pantomimes of lying. Well, if you're a woman, you have 16, but most everybody has 13. I don't know if it's 13.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
So there are 7 answers. There are 7 big decisions.
7 big decisions in everybody's life.
One of them is what college you go to?
No. I think for every person, it's completely different.
Okay.
But because...
What was one of yours? You were about to tell me.
One of mine was making the decision to take a global business minor at the University of Houston. I learned so much about life because you get...
It helped you with your major then, huh?
With my major, film production? Not
well, let's be honest. Because we didn't this is a good subject we should talk about right now, too. We talk about this. We're very spiritual guys. Why are we involved with film? Why are we doing... Are we just chasing the money that could be to have a glamorous life? Or is there something we want to talk about or some message? Somehow we feel connected to compel to tell stories and whatnot. Where I think that, global marketing or global business, when you experience more of the things of the earth, you can help you out with your major because that's all it is telling stories of sorts.
My buddy Ben, he's also a Texas guy.
I don't consider you a Texas guy.
I'm not. I'm actually from Sirius Star System, the Dog Star. That's
where?
me. Sirius Star System.
Sirius
Sirius.
Sirius.
Sirius star system, just like the, it's spelled differently.
Son of Anush.
Son of Anubis.
Anush, I said. Son of Anubis.
Anubis coming through.
I'm from Atlantis. Siddhartha Jardula.
Yeah.
I used to hang out with Aquaman.
Nice.
So, which we should talk about it because Leonardo DiCaprio has the rights to Aquaman. When's he going to make it?
You know what? Let me just get back to your answer.
Oh, sorry about that. The 7 decisions.
No, not the 7 decisions. You're forgetting the questions you're asking.
What was it? I know this is your show, and yet I'm asking. I'm sorry. I do it all the time.
I think you're running this podcast like a champ. You asked me. Now I forgot what you asked me, but you just asked me something.
Why do we enter the whole world of film? Why the production? Right. Because a lot of people will think they'll be like, "Oh man, Omar, Pasta, our parents, my mom, you're just running down a dream to make money because you just want to be." You just want to be glorified in that money and whatnot and have a good time, And I'm like, no, because I believe in telling stories, because I believe in abstract thinking and thought, and I want to touch people. I want to make an impact on people through my stories and whatnot. I don't know what exactly pinpoint what message I want to make, but I want to make it.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I think this. Are we there?
No, we're getting close, but go ahead. I think it would be a great way to end the show if you telling us why you're so involved with theater.
My buddy Ben gave me this quote. I don't know where he got it from, but I know he didn't make it up. Actors are teachers to humanity.
I think he got it from a Scientologist.
Nice. Is that really true?
He might. I mean, that whole religion is kind of like, they always talk about how they're the ones who shape the world, they're the ones who make the biggest touch, whatnot, and everything like that. I look at acting and this whole entertainment industry in a different light than they do. In other words, I'm not as pompous about it, okay? Once again, I just believe we're just part of the whole chemical of, evolving. What we talked about human beings, just like, no one's special. But,
well, think about it like this. Think about it like this. When the movie Rocky came out.
Yes.
Opening night.
Yes.
All across America.
Yo, Adrian! Yes.
The next day, what did everybody think they wanted?
They wanted to be a boxer. I wanted to be a boxer.
Not only a boxer, but Rocky.
Yeah.
They talked like him. They took on ideas of. They did that. So
you know what else movie they did that too? Remember Top Gun?
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be an airplane pilot and stuff like that.
Karate Kid.
Everybody wanted to kick somebody's ass doing the fucking crane technique.
So, if you think about it, people aren't away first, and then the movie comes out. The movie comes out and people become that way. But it's a snake eating its own tail.
It is.
Because the people are that way. That's why we have the stories to tell.
Dude, to me, half those movies are just putting out a character to chase, for young ones. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's okay to dream, but, there's got to be this form of, this is reality. Not everybody's going to be an airline. Not everybody's going to be a fighter pilot for F-14s. And what are you doing? You're really killing people. Not everybody's going to want to be a championship boxer, but if you want to, go ahead and do it so.
Okay.
I think they glorify stuff, and right now everybody wants to be a stockbroker after Wolf of Wall Street because they want to make all that money and glorify it.
Exactly.
Goodfellas, everybody want to be a gangster. They glorify it and stuff like that.
I agree completely. Now, I was going to say this: reincarnation, mixing in with this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Why does somebody want to become an airplane pilot? Why does somebody want to become a boxer? Why does somebody want to become this? Does it have to do with our past life? Like maybe the guy was a hawk in his past life. Now in this life, he has this urge and desire to be an airplane pilot when he sees it and discovers it.
No.
And it resonates truly with their spirit.
See, here, some people are connected to that. But for the most part, most people want to be doing that stuff, that we talk, the specific ones we talked about. And I bet you there are thousands of people out there who, after young men who want to be a fighter pilot, an F-14, they were afraid of heights. They didn't like flying. I hated flying. I still don't like flying to this day. It still gets me nervous. But yet, at one point in my life, I don't think I was a bird in my past life. I think it was more of a woman because I like to cook and I'm a metrosexual. But once again, it's this false sense of dreams are being sold to us in society. It's the same tool that's used to keep people consumed so they don't keep their eye on the prize. Where I commend the metaphysics people is when they get beyond what's in front of them. They ask those questions that need to be asked that the others are afraid to ask.
Mm-hmm. That's
they're being sold false dreams.
Okay, so basically the guy was not a hawk in his past life.
No.
Okay, so
he's afraid of fucking heights. How could it be a hawk? You know what I'm saying? Once again, they're sold this false sense of pride and joy, through a movie, through catchphrases and music, through Kenny Loggins and "Get control, Mav." Oh man, those jets, those serious things. What are you really doing, anyways? Being a pawn for a country. Some selfish needs.
What is the purpose of humanity in your eyes?
I don't think there's a purpose. Once again, I think we're just evolving. I don't think there was a set purpose.
Let me.
Now, what I wish our purpose was to just kindness and love, truly, immensely.
We could be here as a form of an expression for love. Nature has everything within it. You don't get a heart because it's not found in nature. It's in every animal.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is representative of that in a spiritual realm? In the spiritual realm, you have to think nature has a heart.
Mm-hmm.
In a spiritual way, not some physical place that you can go and point. Oh, there it is. Just in a spiritual way.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where I was going.
No, but you question what is our purpose and whatnot.
Oh, the purpose.
It's just to exist.
Well,
it's just to exist.
Is there any animal that can express love the way humans can?
I think some animals can express it better. The penguin. We talked about March of the Penguins and stuff. You called me a penguin. I think it's a different type of love. You know what I'm saying? So they express it differently in their own different ways, whatnot.
Yeah. Do you think the human is more evolved in its ability to adapt on this planet than other animals?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. But I agree too. I think it's pretty special what we have, our capabilities and our instincts and our abilities. But in nature, the human is one of the slowest to develop animals. The time in the womb. Elephants are 22 months. That's my favorite quote of all time.
It is?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But humans have a very long maturation process, much longer than other animals.
Yes.
It takes us, you can't really hunt until you're at least 9 years old. FBI.
Again,
and
right?
the Mafia?
Well, I do.
2 more listeners.
The thing is, this is over. This is done here, so.
Oh, we've got our hour. Do you want to turn it over real quick?
No, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, we good?
I'm good right now. Right now, I want to use your restroom.
All right, that's going on the air.
We need a pee break here.
Oh, yeah. All right, so thank you, Siddhartha Jardula. I think you kicked some serious knowledge on the Conscious Matter podcast.
Yes. We can come back in a little bit if we take a break.
We can take a break. We can
do
a second section.
We pause. All right, let's do a pause. Let's come back, and we'll do a second session of something good, something fun.
We're going to talk to the FBI real quick, too.
We do. We don't want them to leave, so let's get them some coffee so they stay. Because now...
All right, we are back on consciousmatter.org. You can hit us on Twitter at MatterConscious. At MatterConscious. Welcome back, Siddhartha Jardula.
Thank you.
Bringer of wisdom and 7 spices.
Thank you, son of Anubis.
I like how you're adding letters to it. I wonder what that means. It must be a spirit talking through you.
Well, everybody doesn't know that you're the distant relative of Khaleesi. From Game of Thrones, which you don't watch.
Yeah, but, I've seen 3 episodes of the first season, but then I have so much work to do. Let me take that back.
It's funny. You look like a Targaryen too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember.
I don't know. Are the Targaryens the one? I don't know.
They were her army protectors, right?
Her people, I believe. Yeah, she was the last Targaryen. The show was so complex. I got to join into it more. But they were more of like the desert kind of areas across the narrow sea. If anything, the Lannisters and the Starks depict more of the old British, and then she had to flee towards the African type of nature nations of sorts, right, where she's hiding out and gathering her army, and she does have dragons.
I remember that. I remember the baby dragons.
They're beautiful. They're getting up there. They're in their teens now. They're hitting their adolescences. You know what I'm saying? Now she's going to have trouble controlling these son of a bitches.
Wow.
So, word to the wise, be careful when you own dragons.
Yeah. They're cute when they're babies.
They are.
Then they burn down a village.
They grow up pretty big.
Earlier in the podcast, in the first segment, we
were talking about other things that fly, right?
Well, we wanted to know why the name bee was assigned to a bee.
Yes.
Man, it was so simple. How could we not have thought about it? It's the sound they make. That's the sound they make, so they named it after the sound.
Bees?
I mean, when you say it and elongate it, yeah, but if you say it very fast and repeatedly...
Well, then how did they name a giraffe?
Well, let's think about this. A crocodile.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like anything, right? It doesn't sound like anything that happens in nature, like a bee with bees.
Crocodile sounds like the sound of the chomping of their jaws. Maybe. Croc.
Well, imagine if they're hiding in the water, and if you cross, you die, so it's a crocodile.
Cross or die. Yeah.
Cross, you could die. I mean, it's like cross and die, crocodile.
It is funny the way these creatures got their names, and a giraffe does. For some reason, when you say giraffe, you think of a tall giraffe. It's a zebra. Who knows?
A zebra, huh?
Well, now that we're here,
right? Okay, so let's just keep going with the animal kingdom.
The animal kingdom.
I think this. I think metaphysics is the philosophy of being. And what do you think that determines people's personality?
Culture, upbringing.
Let's make it
self-esteem or lack of self-esteem.
Let's. That was pretty general, I suppose. Let me throw a dart there. What about, let's say someone who is a generous person? Okay. Is that a product of his environment, or is that his own nature?
A little bit of both. Since being around it and the way reacting to the way it feels. Some people just they don't get that feeling. That person who rather receive on Christmas than rather give on Christmas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's just a greater joy, when you feel other people's energy. Mm-hmm. That Omar smile that I wanted to see and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That willingness to give and receive that other type of joy back. That's not. You know what I'm saying? Generosity is a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the human is able to receive emotion. I think the human can only give emotion. By that I mean, you can make someone happy, but someone can never really make you happy.
What's that?
Don't you think happiness is a self-contained emotion?
No. I have a Tinder date tonight, and I hope she makes me feel happy. Let me tell you that much.
All right.
No. I mean, it's definitely energy that is passed on through and through. I know what you're saying.
Isn't it true that someone can love you and you do not return the love?
Of course.
So does that mean because they loved you, they put love in your heart?
Once again, it's got to be the proper chemistry of receiving it. It's got to be between two wanting beings, to pass and transfer and accept that love. Mm-hmm. So, somebody might be wanting to give the love, but, you don't have the necessary chemicals or desire to receive it. It's got to be a two-way street. It's a very interesting thing.
Now, that's equilibrium between giving and receiving. And for love to strike, a lot of circumstances have to fall into place between attraction, what else, goes into the superficial, because, we do live by superficial standards first and then on a realistic standard. Like, you are superficial with the people on the street, perhaps, but you're not superficial with your family. If a guy says hello to a girl on the street, she will superficially respond with a hello, even though she didn't want to say hi to him. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yeah.
So there's a certain, and superficial shouldn't be seen as a bad word. It's just it's another way of describing your outside ego versus your at family. You don't act the same way with your family that you act with your friends. There's most people, 80%, 85%. Mm-hmm. They have a personality that they let loose with their friends, and then they're Johnny Goodshoes with the family.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it could be the other way around, too, as well, whatever people choose to live and however they live, Some people are just tolerant with their family because they're there and they've actually experienced their close friends to be their family. And it's kind of a role reversal. But I know what you mean. But, once again, it's just that, it's that grand locksmith of energy. You know what I'm saying? It's just, there is no blueprint to what's going on. That's why we ask these questions and we test our consciousness. Is because, it's the great mysteries of energy, life, the world, universe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, I believe it's, once again, those people who say everything's okay in moderation, don't be too much of an extremist, you know what I'm saying? Well, number one, I believe there's a place and a time for that. I believe in some situations that moderation is the proper way, but I believe there's only certain things that you can only conquer or conquest or accept if you're not moderate, if you attack it fully. But, I don't want to get too much off track. But once again, it's that whole equation to life and energy. We talk about subconscious, and we talk about, being superficial and stuff like that. It's just that whole, unique, composition of, hey, what really is the combination? You know what I'm saying? And so particular, and so in particular, in the same sense, you know what I'm saying? That we can never really actually figure it out. It's great to question it, but acceptance is the most important thing.
Acceptance of what?
Acceptance of nothing. Of everything. Oh. Of nothing, of everything. Of something that we will not get the answer to. Ever. We will never get the true answer to it. You know what I'm saying? We talk about life, cultures, energy, all that stuff. We'll never get the true answers to it. So we have to accept that sometime.
Let me ask you this. This is directly going off of what you just said.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking, let me rock the mic with this. If you were God, would you just let somebody wait about 80 years before you showed yourself? If after you created the whole entire universe, you would make somebody wait 80 years and then boom, you get, to heaven?
You mean...
After all that work, he's going to let your lifespan be 80 years, and then you get to find out the truth?
I understand, and he never gives you that answer. And you have to accept that. And that's what they sell. They sell that acceptance of, he's there for you, just put him in your heart and love and praise him, and he'll accept you in his heart and whatnot,
For the record, I do not believe God is a he.
Or she will accept you, or whatever, or it will accept you, or... Come on, man.
Well,
once again, I accept the fact that we'll never really know that answer. I accept the fact that your way might be right than my way. But I will not accept that we know 1,000% completely, because we're not in that state. When we're here talking, we're living conscious human beings and stuff like that,
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Let's play God for a second.
I hate playing God.
That's fun, right?
Hate playing God.
All right, here's a question for God, and you will take on this question. If you were God, how long would you make a human wait until you allowed that human to know for sure, hardcore evidence that you are the creator?
Dude, if I was God, I'd have press conferences daily. Daily press conferences. We are where we're at because God has not told us what's going on, and we are here in society where we're at because we had to figure and answer those questions for ourselves. And whoever was best and strongest at answering those questions strongly, whoever can represent themselves, whoever represented themselves as the best consultant of God is the ones who've gotten to dictate our lifestyles and who does what, who says what, and who goes what. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's why I hate playing God. Because if I was God, it'd be daily press conferences. Be like, did you hear God's press conference yesterday? No. The Almighty, He was great.
Let me play devil's advocate since you're playing God. If the Earth, like the Earthlings, knew there was a God, and He was having daily press conferences, don't you think at one point they would shape up and just there's no need for a daily conference? If like you knew there was a God, your mouth would be cleaner.
No, you would always, but you would also need to have your press conferences to show that you are you. Like the Family Guy. The Family Guy does the best. Oh my God. What? Jesus Christ, what was that? Get the Escalade, we're out of here. But no, if you're really here and you have to sell yourself and you have to sell my ways, you're going to have to show up like a president and explain, hey, I'm God the Almighty, how you doing? I created you guys here. I just want to let you know, all the new people here. Yes, I exist. Check it out. Don't fuck with me. I'll fuck with you. But, I mean, everybody would straighten themselves out, but he would have to show himself. You know, I mean, this is just like...
Do you know, if I played God, and I'll put myself on the spotlight, I would never let humanity find out whether it exists or not. Never. Never.
Why?
Because the most important thing with God is having faith. As of right now, speaking, if you do not have faith in God, why is God going to understand?
Yeah, but that's somebody's depiction of God.
Well, hold on.
Of the Catholic God. Of the Christian God.
No. Exactly. I mean, this is the God that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And I believe in creation without a creator.
Uh-huh.
So that means I don't believe that there's a judging God.
Of course not.
And say
Nor
that.
do I.
So if God created the heavens and earths and everything in between,
yes,
I would say this: what else has He created that we are not aware of? Right?
Yeah.
And the game of life, like we said earlier in the first segment, the game of life. I mean, life is a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I would play a game with each person, and the better that they were, without ever knowing, the better their next incarnation would be in another kingdom. You understand?
Yeah.
Why is somebody born to a millionaire family and the other people are born to people in huts?
Yeah.
Maybe it depends on your previous life and how you behaved versus what you said. People say they're religious and they say they believe in God, but they do opposite. So, isn't there a place for hypocrites? Isn't there a place for the true
There's
faith?
a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason why you have examples of a few people finding God later on in life. You know, they did some bad things and Jesus saved them. But for the most part, the majority of people leave religion when they get older because they have more knowledge of what's going on. They're more aware of their conscience to question it, to drive their life in the direction they want. In other words, people tend to leave Catholicism at an older age rather than a younger age. Because at a younger age, once again, it's the environment we're born into, what we're taught, what we're told, before we can really break that mold.
Just to add on to what you're saying, I don't think that anybody has the choice to leave at a younger age. I think when you have to go to church, that means you have to believe and this and that. Now, some people do break away, and some people fake the funk while they're there. Everybody has a way of getting around it if it's not really and truly in their heart.
Yeah.
So, you're saying that people tend to walk away from Catholicism at a later age versus a younger age. They got no choice at a younger age.
Absolutely. So that's what I was saying, getting back to the whole culture that you're brought into. It's going to really depict how we are and how we're going to judge what's going on. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. I don't believe there's a judging God either. I'm not with it and whatnot. And if there's a judging God, I'm going to live more Christ-like or Buddhist-like, loving and being kind, because that shit just seems better than being evil. But who knows? I mean, what about those people who are taking advantage of every little physical feeling they get, and, desire and feeding that desire, like the Wolf of Wall Street guys through money, whatnot, I mean, if it's just about, we're just a biological way of, living, why not pleasure those indulges and stuff like that? Satisfy that, whatnot. If we're not going to be judged, why not just do whatever we want to do in life, aside from killing,
Well,
enjoy that.
Excuse me. Instead of a judgment day, imagine a judgment creation. Let's just open up our minds. Everybody has been told and threatened with judgment day. So one day you're going to be standing in line and you're next, and then your judgment will begin, right? Mm-hmm. What if there is no judgment day, but there's a judgment creation, which means your next creation depends on your judgment, which means that you're not going to go up against the council or God himself. Mm-hmm. You're just going to be created some way, somehow, in another existence based on your judgment, based on the left brain and the right brain and the spirit and what you've done and what you how you carried yourself and how you cared about people and didn't. So,
well, I would feel bad for those people who really didn't have the mindset or the capacity to be able to expand that judgmental part of their brains with that. In other words, if you really want to come talk about it, we're artists, right? Artistry is built upon abstract thinking, using a part of your brain that you don't normally use. In other words, when you get involved with art, whether it be painting, filming, acting, doing whatever, you're using a part of your brain to react and think that you don't normally use. So therefore you use more of your brain than anybody else. But yet we're brought up in an environment where we have those chances. Even the most impoverished in this country, maybe if they find a way to battle themselves out of the gutter, they can go and live those type of lives and explore that part of their thinking in their brain. What about those millions of people who weren't born in those societies, where their thought process is, how am I going to eat on Wednesday? You know what I'm saying? And they're not born into that kind of, society. I mean, how do we judge them?
What if they are...
How do we put them in front of the council? Or, and what you were saying is, there's no council, but there's still a form of judgment that is taking place on where that energy or that body or, where should it go metaphysically,
Right, and I think nature is that judge. We're playing devil's advocate. We're playing God and devil's advocate for all you listeners. Please don't go jump off a building.
Please.
We're just playing a game here to figure out the creation of the universe. So let's say that there is a God,
mm-hmm.
And it's nature.
Yeah.
Nature is God.
Of course.
So nature knows everything. It knows when you spit on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
It knows when you punch somebody in the face, because there's a transfer of energy with everything you do.
Yeah.
So nature is at all times recording what you've done. And in your next creation, you are created by the way you perceive the world and the way you did it.
Well, I you know what? I would like to think that there could be something like that going on, but I don't. Because, once again, your behavior is so much more of your environment. Punching somebody in the face, for us, might be a selfish thing. He insulted me, my personality, so I punched him in his face. But in the middle of Abu Grabas or fucking, the mountains and stuff, you're fearful of your life, and you don't know what that person's been through. They might punch, they might have caused some type of negative reaction or harm on somebody else, but yet it was just a scared, sentient being in its own environment. Not having the chance or the capacity to think as we do. We're sitting here drinking good Trader Joe's coffee, had some nice sandwiches and whatnot like that. People don't have that basic craziness, that's going on. And that's why we live in a country where the only country where our poverty is obese. Think about that. Think about the luxuries we are provided, that we can still... Which the number one cause of death in the world is what? Hunger. More people die of hunger than anything else. People die of hunger than anything else in the world. More than any disease. Hunger. But yet here, we're provided that liberty that we can just be. We can sit here and talk and bullshit metaphysics and talk this shit once in a while.
Okay, so for a guy who believes in reincarnation, don't you think that maybe you did something in your previous life and your essence... See, you have an essence about you. We all do.
Yes.
Now, your essence is easier to pick out of a lineup than other people's essences.
Yes.
When there's a Siddhartha Jardula, you know it in the room. There's always, when there is one, there's one.
Yes.
There isn't two, there isn't three. So, unless you're in some part of Brooklyn.
Yes. That is the one, just to hit on that real quick, that's the one thing that I think where we are special, is there's not one exactly alike. That's where we're special. That's where the individualism, okay, beautiful. You don't have to love yourself, but you have to just trust yourself to be yourself, because there is no one unlike you. So that is the one part that I think we're special in, the whole religion talk and what happens next talk. The fact that we're just individuals, that's beautiful. Mm. We can say we're individuals, but I don't think there's anything special about any one of us. We have the ability to act special. Being special is in the actions we take, not in who we are and how we're born and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. That special is another way of saying metaphysics.
Yes.
It's another way of understanding how you be.
Yes.
How you are. Because is there anything special in nature? Everything. And guess what? You're a part of nature. So guess what? You got to be special. See, there's a special essence that you incarnated into this plane as a human versus a magnet. I think everything has consciousness.
Yeah.
I think...
You're the magnets, huh?
Conscious matter
yes.
is dark matter. It is the ether of the universe. And it has essence. And when that essence recognizes itself, it sees itself, it becomes creation. And then you are incarnated. And it's the way that your whole essence, you've got your charm, you've got your greeting.
Are you saying that our perception, more than anything, can dictate how we evolve or where we go into? Or
No, I think our acceptance, nature is constantly providing everything. It's providing sadness and happiness and everything in between.
Of course.
Nature is providing this.
Which we both agree that in one form or another, nature is the true God.
I completely believe nature is.
So do I. Yeah. I think Buddhists in a certain way do too as well. Mm-hmm. Once again, I'm not the best Buddhist. I'm a non-meditating, non-practicing Buddhism. But to me, it's more of a philosophy. Like metaphysics is a philosophy more than it's a religion.
Of course.
You can't say that metaphysics and Buddhism are religions. Mm. If you're saying that, you just don't know their philosophies. And that's why it's more comfortable for me to exist and to accept everything around me, because it's a philosophy. It's not a follow religion.
Yeah, metaphysics, I would say, is a philosophy of life. Yeah. It is the philosophy of life and how it is, and experiencing it, being aware of it. You experience it. Sometimes, if you're asleep on an airplane, you don't experience the plane ride. You have to be awake. You have to be aware of it. So you can wake up and it doesn't. But
that's why I like falling asleep on planes, so I don't have to experience that plane ride.
It's
Maverick. Oops.
You don't know if you slept in a bed or if you slept in an airplane chair, because all you know is that you slept. Yeah. That's how the human mind works, and your awareness of your essence incarnated you into this. Now, this is just opinion. It's just but it sounds a lot easier to me than anything else.
Well, it's an easier form of acceptance, because it is. It's what you see and what you believe and what you feel. Like I said, to me, metaphysics to me seems to be so much like Buddhism in a way when it comes to questioning what is there and stuff like that. The only thing is that the Buddhism has a little bit more of a... And I can't really say that because it's not true, because metaphysics is the study of what is, FBI, what is, what will be, what's going to be there. Metaphysics is that. So it's a work of body of studying since the beginning of time. It's accumulative. And so is Buddhism. But Buddhism just concentrates more on your journey here. In a way. And it kind of, a lot of ways, it's so parallel to that whole meditation, breathing, your soul, your spirit, where it's at when you're sleeping and whatnot. It's so... both of them are just so beautiful. I mean, that's why, it's kind of different when you talk metaphysics and Buddhism, talking, it's not a debate, it's more of a collaboration. But once you get that atheist or Buddhist or non-God believing talking to a hardcore Catholic right-winger, bringing politics into it as always, it's a different debate. It's a different talk. It's a debate. It's not a conversation.
What it is a competition to see who can be right. It's just like pinning someone down and getting them to say uncle or tap. There's no difference. Yes. It's one force trying to overpower another force. It's magnetism.
Yes. That's why it's beautiful, metaphysics and Buddhism talking together, because there is no right and wrong. It's just acceptance of what is.
There is. There is no right. There is no wrong. There is.
There is. And we can come join hands together and say, Omar, you're not right. You're not wrong. We is.
Bam.
We is.
A show coming next fall.
Next week on it, we is.
Yeah. I think I'm serious about that too. That could be done. Do you believe in luck?
I believe good luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Great poster.
I'm full of them, man, but it's the truth. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Yeah, that's, what? It's just so funny nowadays. It's kind of, we've been out here for a while. Let's talk about a guy named Bobby Costanza, who we know, always around, Italian guy, actor a long time ago. He would say to us, hey, man, stick it out, do it. But, the business nowadays, it's a lot different than it was back then. It's so tough right now. Even with so many channels, there's so many people, whatnot, because they've taken the science and they've moved forward with it. Nowadays, our type of luck, for what we describe luck for us and the capitalist living United States of America, LA, fighting the fight, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, because you know why? All those gaps and those holes have been filled. People have taken the science with them, the studies of the past with them. So right now, the window and opportunity is small for what we perceive luck to be. I don't know what luck could be to you, but luck to me, for us, for what I think it is, We are who we are. We just want to be found. We want to be discovered. We believe that, we're at a certain level where we can just show our thing. So luck to us is different than luck to somebody else. Luck to some guy in middle Nebraska is probably, I hope April, May, June sucks my cock tonight if I get a drug. That's luck to her. To us, that's coincidence. Sorry for...
Shout out to Wahoo, Nebraska.
Wahoo!
That's a place where all good things come from.
Dude, I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma for 2 months. I told you, man, I thought I was going to die out there, bro. And the thing that just bothered me more than anything was just the shallowness of people. No offense, there were some deep-suited good people there. But it was just like, the thing that bothered me about Tulsa, Oklahoma is the people's insecurity about themselves. They're like slaves to themselves, a lot of them. And they just can't see themselves moving forward. It's just so funny to see a state. No shit, I was there. A windstorm comes through, a 20-minute windstorm. Now, once again, this is Tornado Alley. Wind comes through there all the time, but it knocked electricity out for 100,000 people. That you can't put your stuff on the ground like Minnesota does, a very progressive state, you know what I'm saying? So a place that says we're not going to be controlled by religion. They're not going to control the majority of things. Because that's what religion does. It just screws things up when it's controlling. And you can be free to have any religion you want, but let's not let people forget that we were based upon our religion.
Let me say this, and I think this is what you mean.
Yeah.
Religion isn't controlling. People are.
Yes.
And, religion gets a black eye in a lot of conversations. And I want to say this. Religion can be the most beautiful thing for somebody and the most vicious thing for another. It's just the user. It's just the user.
It is. But that's what it's got to be exposed for as it is. And I'm not here to bash religion as much as I am to expose it as much. That religion is what you make of it. Once again, I've had the beauty, I told you this, my small time in Catholic school, I had Jesuit nuns. Best thing in the world. When I went back, I thanked them. I couldn't tell them I was a non-practicing Buddhist, agnostic type of person, because that would crush them. But I will let them know that their work that they did on me, showing me, through the Buddhist type of mentality, the Jesuit type of mentality, was beautiful. Because it was so opposite my father, who went to Franciscan brothers, who they whipped you, is controlled by fear. It's because God says so. It was so different than, hey, it's beautiful to be kind to people and to give to people, because look how it feels. They taught me that it's better to give on Christmas than it is to receive. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Now, is it their teaching or is it your...
It was their showing. It was their showing.
So people learn by looking.
Or seeing. Or experiencing. You know what I'm saying? People learn by the way they're taught, their culture. We talk. If you're brought up in that kind of right-wing... God, I'm sorry for saying that. Sorry for the right-wingers out there. It's not supposed to be a show about politics. But if you're brought up in that kind of controlled Christian environment that based upon fear, FBI, based upon fear, you're gonna be shallow and you're gonna be brought up in that way. You're not gonna be able to expand your horizons and stuff. I mean, that's the culture and the beautiness of metaphysics. It's about within, questioning from within. But you have that courage. People won't even have the courage to question. There's so many people who live in fear that will not question things the way a Buddhist will, the way a metaphysicist will. They won't even think about it.
You're right.
Because of fear. Because Satan is depicted as doubt.
Oh, this is something that
it's chiseled in their brain.
Check this out. What do you think the type of gravitational pull each planet has on our planet? Each planet has a certain gravitational pull on our planet. How do you think that affects humanity? Let's take it to a person is born on a full moon. Mm-hmm. And let's say he has violent characteristics. And then another person that's born on a night when there's no moon is very peaceful.
Hey, before you go on your thing, is that there's a lot of also, when you talk about more violence is happening on a full moon, but you're also leaving out the statistics that more love and more passion things happen on a full moon too as well. It also excites the energy and a lot of positive things as well.
I think that's completely true because you always have to look to the yin and the yang. Where there's good, there's bad. There's a little bad. Where there's a little bad, there's a lot of good.
Absolutely.
Fool me once.
Fool me twice.
Yeah.
Listen, the planets, the sun, the moon, the stars, they have something to do with the energy that's involved with us. I mean, once again, us being artists out here, actors, we've learned to tap into our conscious and our feelings more than anybody in the face of the earth. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the things we do is we're a vessel to energy. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I believe it has a factor in the way things happen and whatnot, but also I believe our acceptance and our mindset can be a wheel to what we want to do with that and stuff like that. In other words, if we choose to be positive with that energy, we can do with it positive. And we choose to be shallow and negative, we can be shallow and negative.
Okay, so everything is a conscious decision at that point.
Somewhat.
Okay.
It's a conscious decision, but a lot of it is determined and dictated and controlled by fear.
Do you think the days of the week were named after planets?
Yes.
Lunes?
Yes.
Monday?
Yes.
Mercury?
Yes.
Tuesday? Mars?
Yes. Sábado?
Saturn?
Domingo?
What is that? What is Domingo in the planet form?
You know what? I haven't studied. I learned it at one point in my life, but I don't know what it is now. But yes, I believe they were named after stars.
Miércoles.
Which one is Mercury.
That? Mercury, right.
Mercury.
Venus?
Yes. Sábado, Domingo.
Saturn.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, they were all named, after.
It could be Jupiter.
Yeah.
Domingo. The big day. Jupiter.
Yes, maybe. Did you ever? I have a friend of mine who talks about a lot of. We're looking at the Dias de los Muertos pictures that you filmed about a year ago and whatnot. And I told you how connected my friend was with that. And he talks about certain places in Mexico and different things and different omens inside. How the hummingbird is such a mystic creature to some of the folk about the way it stops in time and whatnot. And when you see hummingbirds, sometimes it can mean it's your time to do something, whatnot.
Symbolic.
Symbolism. Everything has to do with symbolism.
Everything is symbolism.
Yes.
Completely.
Yes. We're very much pagans more than we are Christians, and people don't realize that shit.
Now let me ask you this.
Ask me.
You say that we're pagans, and let's just explain it to the listener who's 15 years old and hasn't studied paganism. Paganism is the belief in many gods.
Yes. Okay.
So,
yes.
They
would say, one second, not being interrupted, we talk about, when a lot of religion came to fruition, that the gods before us, or the holidays before us, were pagan holidays. In other words, all our holidays have to do with times of the year and that particular god in that time of year when people from the existence back to caveman when it was cold outside, they'd have different gods and sun gods and whatnot. So it was they formed from a form of paganism, which is not it's not like the whole dragnet paganism. It's more like the form of gods at different times in different regions and whatnot. Yes.
Okay. So
that's why I said we're more paganism, because Halloween, everything.
All right. So imagine this. Now, this is a metaphysical outlook and perception, perhaps, of what the situation is. The human mind,
yes,
is not monopsychic. It's polypsychic.
Can you explain?
Yes. You have more than one personalities on the inside.
Yes.
You have a personality that shows up to work.
Yes.
You have a personality that shows up at home.
Absolutely.
You have a personality that shows up on a first date.
Oh, yes.
You have a personality that shows up on a breakup.
Yes.
You have a personality that shows up to the gym, the kitchen, the bathroom.
Absolutely, I know what you mean.
Everything has its own persona.
Yes.
So they're all sitting inside of you.
Yes.
Each one has its own God.
Yes.
Because one cannot pray to or have belief in the other God because of its hypocrisy.
Yes.
They can't be under the same God. So perhaps, perhaps there are more than one God's creators.
It's funny. The other day I was in just Pasadena with my Greek friend, and we were walking down the street, and there was some Scientologist outside with the Dianetics book, and they were actually giving stress tests. And he asked my friend, "Hey, would you like a free stress test?" And my friend goes, knowing that they're Scientologists, goes, he's a Greek kid. He goes, "I'm sorry, dude, but if I did that, Zeus would fucking kill me. Gotta go." Walked away. The whole belief in different gods, different time, Poseidon, whatnot, and
one way to stress someone out is to ask them if they want to take a stress test. Hey, you want to take a stress test? Man, that's stressing me out.
Well, it is what it is. That's how they get into their spiel of trying to sell you their religion, whatnot. That's what it is. It's kind of like, religion's there. It's almost like running a restaurant, being a waiter in a restaurant. Your job is to turn shit into ice cream. Because, we as humans, for some reason, we obsess on the negative and what's going on. So when people turn to religion, it's turning to them to think, hey, man, take this perception I have of, and alter my form of acceptance through Christianity or God or whatnot. Make it easier. Make the pain go away. Help me out. So, and their whole form is praise. Give yourself. Accept. Accept what you don't know. Don't question it. And then you'll be free.
Do you think that's a way to trap you?
I think it's a lot. Crocker, you know what? But, once again, the whole thing about it is for some people, it's in the small-minded,
I think good people are born into every religion. And I think hypocrites are born into every religion. So there's not one religion that's right over another. And there's people who are right and people who are wrong. And that's personal choices.
We said this, the majority of mainstream religion out there, the core, Christianity, any forms of Christianity, Baptist, Catholic, whatnot, the Nation of Islam, any form of being a Muslim, the form of Judaism, even though they hate each other, all the parties. Even, you can go to Hinduism or whatnot. At the core of the religion, it's about love, peace, happiness, and being, that's the whole thing. Is like, I love, being a sports guy. We're sports guys. The Muhammad Ali situation. One's Cassius Clay. But, it's like he said, Islam means peace. Yeah. Islam means peace. So it's how people depict and twist and use that religion to fight each other. That's why I think at its core, in another way, it's beautiful, but it's bad because it's just used so negatively. Bill Maher, one of my fans, I wish he was my fan. I'm one of his biggest fans. He talks about it. In a way, he is right, but in another way, he's careless because the fact is that more than not, religion is used to move people peacefully. Right. It's just that we see the negative that it can be informed with.
Let's go to round 2 of playing God.
Oh, God, I hate playing God.
You're going to love this.
I don't want this job.
Siddhartha Jardula.
It's like a manager of a restaurant. I don't want that job. I just want to play a part of it. I want to be a waiter, bartender. I don't want to be God. I just want to be chilling out. Like, God, we cool. You get the rest of them? I'm going to go hang out. You do your thing. You got these people? I'll go do my thing with my people.
All right, let's do this. Let's propose a question.
Go ahead.
You don't have to play God on this, but it's just a question.
Go ahead.
So, when a human passes, and it is time to go see God, we are hypothesizing that there is a God here for this.
You meet Moses first, and Moses decides if you can go in or right.
Well, okay. Let's say
you got to give your resume. You got to answer the questions.
Well, just so that we don't pick any religion, let's just say that we're already in front of God. You're there to be judged.
Whoa. Moses is like the guy at the gates. He sorts out Islam God, Muhammad's over there, God's over here, Zeus is over there. He works the Ellis Island of heaven.
Okay, so
let's say we're before God. I'm sorry.
All right, you're there, and the only question you're asked is, "What are you?"
I'm your creation.
No. Not God. What are you going to say to God when God says, "What are you?"
I'm going to tell God.
I'll go for it.
I'm one of your creations of love, peace, happiness, and existence. When you put me here, I chose to lead this path in this way of love and kindness. And
yeah, bring it close.
Oh, go like this.
My bad.
I'm sorry, I keep moving away. I'm your creation of love and kindness, and that's who I am. I chose this path. That's where I went. Pretty much simple.
What if God says, I need another answer, something a little more specific. I want to know more about you. What are you?
I don't know why God would be asking these questions. He knows.
We're playing God. Segment of playing God.
Oh, God. No, I mean, really, to tell you the truth, that would be my answer to that. I am who I'm the person.
You're answering with a like double negative almost. I am what you created, is what you're saying, and that's not. Well,
I mean, what do you know what I am? I'm a human being that was born here. That was created by you. And I chose to live this path in this life. And you know what I'm saying? Ultimately, I can sit here before you. And, you know, I have this argument with my conservative friends, once again, getting back to the politics. But why I say I'm a liberal is because basically I want to give. My life, to me, is insignificant unless I help others, make a special impact on others. And I'm very fearful of harming people or being any process of...
Yeah, bring it this way so that if you're going to face
Gotcha.
it... No. Point it towards you more. Yeah, there you
Gotcha.
go.
So, I mean, I lost my chain of thought. But no, I mean, where was I at?
We couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
I even think I'm talking too loud, or...
Well, right now, just you want the orange lights.
I see.
Orange lights.
I know, it's kind of like that special thing you try to hit in the middle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, getting back to what we were talking about, because I lost my whole chain of thought.
All right, here we go. We got another start over, and it'll actually help you find your thoughts.
Yes.
God says, I know what I created.
Okay.
What are you? And you say you're a human.
Uh-huh.
And then you can continue.
I said it, and I was a human, and I chose to live the life of kindness and happiness and love. And, you know, that once again, I was talking about where I am, and when I tell people who I am, it's that, a person who wants to give, a person who loves. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's that vicious questions. You know, it's like, hey, well, we have an epidemic. There's too many people in this world. There's got to be a lot of people who got to be, like, you know, who have to be deceased and wiped out in a way. They have to be distinguished. Not distinguished, but they have to die in a way because otherwise we're overpopulating. I understand, like, that whole...
But that's a part of nature.
Yeah, and I understand. I accept that in nature. And you know, and that can be sometimes the whole thought process. Oh, you tree-loving hippie liberals, you want everybody to live, and blah, blah, blah. You know, well, suffering's a way of life. You have to accept it.
I see. See, that's where I go away from the Buddhist train of philosophy of suffering. I don't believe... I think suffering is a perception of the mind. This is what I think. Because people in jail are happy. People out of jail are happy. People who live in the jungle are happy. People who live in the city are happy. There's happiness everywhere in every circumstance. And all it is a perception of your surroundings. This is, you know, a lot of people say, what's happiness? Oh, you know, I can't answer that. Now everybody's listening, going, oh man, I can answer that. Answer the question, what is happiness? Let's give them 20 seconds to answer that question. What is happiness?
Well, let me get back to... Let me stop you for a second and talk about that. Buddhism just talks about acceptance of suffering. And suffering doesn't have to be drastic and hard as you think it has to be. We're talking about, like, suffering can be like the fact that something has to die for you to live. Correct?
That's suffering?
That's a form of suffering.
What form?
That thing that died?
For
Suffer.
you to live?
Yes.
That's like, okay, I mean...
Something has to die for you to live. There's some form of suffering. In other words, how do you eat?
Okay, I see.
Let's say you're a vegetarian.
Right, I kill a plant.
Exactly. So there's some form of suffering always involved that it's just acceptance of it. In other words, that, you know, you will always experience some form of suffering in one way or another. And then once again, it is your perception of your mind. But their perception is that something, you know, that suffering is just a way of life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, we talk about people who are not suffering. So first of all, the majority of people in this world and on this planet have some form of suffering. We know that.
Let me ask you, I just want to say this. This is perfectly with what you're saying. Do you know why I would never order flowers for a woman?
Because you're cheap?
Yeah. And the other reason, I would never put a hit out on 12 bodies. I would never do that to a natural being. And a rose is alive just like a human's alive. And you go and you put a hit on it, bam, they get chopped down.
So what do you send her? Nothing?
No, I have other forms of expressing my affection.
So you're saying you would just never do anything physically then? Because you can't send anything. You can't send chocolates because that was the cocoa plant. The cocoa plant died. You put a hit out on some cocoa plants.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to think about this for a second. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing physically you can give to a woman then if you don't want to put a hit out on anything. Because something has to die for us to live. Mm-hmm. We reincarnate within the earth, its dirt and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Buddhists say. They don't say you have to accept it, you have to be a part of it. Mm-hmm. They just say it's there.
Okay, so let me ask you this. When you're, this is beautiful where we're going. If you're a rose growing in a rose garden, Don't you think you're aware of your surroundings and that you know that there are other roses around?
That's a good... Well, yes and no. Number one, you're not consciously aware of it. You're just a plant that is kind of like nature-wise grows or doesn't grow behind its environment, what's there. Once again, it doesn't have that consciousness, but it is a living thing, and it has to die for you to give it to somebody.
All right, so when a plant, let's say a succulent, can you picture a succulent?
A what?
A succulent.
A succubus?
Succulent.
What's a succulent?
It's a plant that grows in a Fibonacci sequence, like a circle, a perfect circle,
Okay.
and within a circle, within a circle, within a circle.
Yeah.
It's basically a repeating pattern.
Yes.
Now, don't you think that one leaf is conscious of where the other one is? Because it's growing.
I don't think it's I don't think it's mentally conscious. I think it's just naturally conscious, if that means something. Naturally consciousness is different than mentally conscious. In other words, when we mentally know what's going on, we can have a different perception. Once again, we're different type of beings than the plants.
Let's say
I just think it has some types of form of not awareness, but evolvedness. In other words, it will evolve to its surroundings.
If you stand in a 1 mile, an acre, if you stand in the middle of an acre by yourself, will you feel alone as you stand there? Let's say you're not allowed to speak, you're not allowed to move. Stand in a 1 acre. Do you feel alone? Now, if I surround you with 10 people, will you feel like you're surrounded by 10 people? And if I surround you by 50 people, will you feel like you're surrounded by 50 people? And if I surround you by 50,000 people, will it feel like you're surrounded by 50?
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, but that's energy. Once again, and unlike the rose, I have a different mental consciousness of it. You know what I'm saying? What I have that the rose doesn't have is choice.
Or is it ability to express?
Same thing. Choice is the ability to express. Plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? I can choose to deny that energy coming in. I can perceive it different. I have a different choice. The rose evolves without mentally knowing anything. It's just a form of nature. Nature's pulling the strings when it comes to the rose. We are pulling the strings when it comes to ourselves. To a degree. But once again, we have choice. The rose does not.
What is our choice?
There's multiples of choices. There's little keyholes of choices. There's so many different things of choices. We just have the ability to choose. The perception to stay there or not. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else might be controlling that choice and stuff. It's different. We have a choice to maybe interact with those other people. You know what I'm saying? A rose doesn't interact with another rose unless it's the choice of a person to chemically, do it. Nature makes that choice.
I wish I had an agriculturist right now.
We do need an agriculturist.
That's excellent. And I think nature is always aware of itself. And since you are aware of yourself, I think a rose is also aware of itself. Mm-hmm. And if you are aware of yourself, guess what you're also aware of? The entire environment.
Absolutely.
The entire universe.
Yes.
So, the difference between
us and most things, most creatures, is choice. That's what separates us. Choice. You know what I'm saying? Once again, I think most animals will act instinctively unless taught otherwise. Unless involved in an environment where they can think differently. Which is going to be great because Planet of the Apes is coming out now, the new one.
I love anything Planet of the Apes.
Well, see, I wasn't crazy about the original one. They were okay, but the last one that was made, I thought was done so well. And the next one coming up is going to be great. Like, you can see the involvement once again. These apes were brought around people. They were taught, or they discovered choice. But that, once again, which animal are we fighting? The animal that we evolved from, the ape.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I do.
I think humans are their own species without involvement.
Nope. Not me.
Tell me about it.
Oh, well, just like a Shih Tzu, which is a Shih Tzu and a Bulldog, they made a bullshit. You know what I mean? I believe we're just a crossbreed. Once again, we evolved. We evolved from different creatures, and once again, we evolved from ape.
What? Well,
because science tells us apes go way back and that we're a little bit newer. We evolved from ape.
Science,
Everything.
Science is the only thing that is constantly disproven with time.
It's not disproven. It evolves. It changes.
Well, okay.
It's the best. Science is the number one practice on this world of how we exist and where we exist. Everything from metaphysics and Buddhism comes from science. It's our work in science.
Okay.
It's a what's the word I'm looking at? A cumulative action and study of what's around us, which we can definitely prove the best.
It's okay.
It's science. It's in the word. It's mathematics. Mathematics is science.
I think mathematics is the only science and the only language.
Ah.
Listen, don't you think you have an algorithm to everything you do?
Yes.
You have the algorithm of the first date.
Absolutely.
The way you carry yourself, the way you sit, the way you talk, and the subjects you choose to discuss. That's an algorithm.
Yes.
And then you have the algorithm of when you're walking down an alley and then there's like two guys walking towards you, your algorithm changes completely. And you become aware.
Uh-huh.
Afraid.
Yes.
And
cautious. Everything.
And almost in unison with yourself.
All mathematics is a bilateral extension of science. Bottom line. Bottom line. Without science, mathematics don't exist. Bottom line.
I think without... Oh, yeah, you're right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most Def said it best. You want to learn how to rhyme, you better learn how to add. It's mathematics.
Yes.
And he went through the mathematics of everything in the world. You want to talk about mathematics. I mean, mathematics is everything. It's always the numbers and whatnot. You know, every single social issue I argue for, where you guys go, Pasta, you're crazy, it's all based behind mathematics.
Have you ever heard of geometria?
She's a nice girl. I met her on Tinder. Met her for coffee, but she didn't dig my vibe. Yeah.
Australian, right?
Yes. Australian, Puerto Rican.
Nice. That's a great mix. They say the kids with a mixed gene pool they take the best of both and move on. Do you believe in that?
Yes. Yes. Dude, this world will be better off when we're all a shade of brown.
Do you think that's going to happen?
When we're all the same color eventually, when we breed into the same friggin' species, we can then worry about the aliens when they attack.
Wow.
But until then, we're screwed. If the aliens were smart right now, they attack now, but we're still fighting each other.
I don't believe in aliens.
Oh, God.
I used to until I saw there was no.
We need a Scientologist here. We need an archaeologist, a Scientologist, and an agriculturist.
Yeah.
Next show, we'll have those people. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, we're gonna get our cats to start talking at some point too. So,
see, this is the whole thing. Is this whole thought process? Everything we've been talking and thinking is so involved with metaphysics because we're questioning everything. We're looking at our consciousness. You know what I'm saying? But then, in a way, a lot of times the way we talk can make the majority of the mainstream people scared. You know what I'm saying? Scared because they don't want to think like this. They don't want to question these things. They're happy and satisfied with what they were taught in their culture and their environment, and they're okay with it. So when you say metaphysics, it's just not for everybody, you know what I'm saying? It's not for the weak. This is a very deep-rooted thought process, and it can get really scary when you think about it, you know what I'm saying, for some.
So what you're saying is, if you're a rose, you don't want to know you're a rose.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
You don't want to know you're a friggin' rose.
Is that why ignorance is bliss?
Ignorance is bliss, for a lot. And it's unfortunate it is, and one day, when the aliens do attack and wipe out a lot of people, that's when we'll get back to that process. The whole thing is that we've gotten so selfish. After the Industrial Revolution, think about it, as a country, as a nation, as a world, we've gotten selfish. You know what I'm saying? We think about our own personal things and our individualism at a high. It's the I generation that's out there right now that's taking over. It's just, the Industrial Revolution screwed us up because it made certain species think that they're more important than others.
Like which ones besides
the ones who control everything through force?
Mm.
Like my friend said, he believes in peace, but peace through strength. Well, that ain't really fucking peace then. It's more like slavery. Mm. And, the one side that has guns can control everything. Our forefathers built this country not based upon our Christian Judaic principles. They built it upon their mindset of common sense. It was about their mentality. You know what I'm saying? And the ones who were the ones who have the most abstract thinking, who can think the most, the true mental aristocrats, they ran the world. They weren't aristocratic because of the money they had and the land they had, because of their minds. They were able to think. They didn't believe. They thought religion was stupid. They believe that you live in a country where you can worship who you want, but they were built upon their mindsets. They were true metaphysicists back then. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Washington. The power of the politics and the Industrial Revolution corrupted everything.
What is your idea of or perception of politics, or should I say?
But
I'm thinking of
you mean how it intertwines with what we're talking with?
No, of the system itself. What do you think about government?
Well, I mean, you know me. I'm a political junkie. I really am. I love this stuff. I eat it up. It's not that I just really do it for my own enjoyment and I want to be just well versed in it so I can debate people and it's a form of entertainment. There is a form of entertainment in it. Being an artist, and liking the two, but to me it's more about being socially aware. And it's unfortunate that through the system we have, it's a form of control. It's a form of giving or not giving. So I believe it's a duty of mine to understand it more than anything, because the majority of people who are controlling it are hiding behind it. Unfortunately, I believe that, it's my duty to be knowledgeable inside the system that is built, that even though the system is corrupt and it shouldn't work. I mean, if there are aliens and they studied this form, right, this time of history right now, they would just see that one form of small group controlled a large amount of another group through this system that they're running right now.
Okay. Wow.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It's just
like if the aliens studied, they'd be like, "What the hell is going on?" This little small group mentally Jedi mind fucked this other group to controlling everything, and a lot of these people were happy with it because they were so,
Yeah. So, is it fair to say that a Venus flytrap? What is the one word that comes to you when I say Venus flytrap? In its own nature, what is the Venus flytrap?
I hate to tell you, dude, and I don't mean to get way off kilter, but when you say Venus flytrap, I think about penis guy trap. It just looks like a beautiful. I'm sorry. It's getting to that time in this interview.
It looks like
it's getting to the end.
It's nature's glory hole.
It does look like that, and it's a trap. But you know what I mean.
Okay, so let me ask you.
My mind is turning into mush right now because the metaphysics is giving me a headache.
All right, the metaphysics is going to be.
It's when you start expanding your mindset that much, you start going, wow.
That's because you're using your mind. It's like when you use certain muscles, they get tired.
Yeah.
Metaphysics exhausts the mind because it's...
Well, good. I'm trying to use a muscle tonight, and I have to get in the right frame of mind to do so over here.
We're going to put some music on in a minute. This is almost done.
It is. 2 segments. Maybe you should post it as 2. 1 and 2.
I don't think I will. I think I'm going to post it up as the longest, greatest segment in the history of conscious
with a break right in the middle.
Everybody gets a break.
You should do segment 1, segment 2, but... I think we
took me away from what I was going to say to you.
I know, and I did that purposely so we can wrap this shit up and talk about something fun.
I'm trying to get it out. The sands of time are rolling, and
let's go on to something good. Can we talk more hip hop?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have something you wanted to do? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Let's talk about J-Electronica.
Did you want to talk about something? I'm sorry. I feel bad now.
You're doing something you do all the time, right?
What's that?
This here, like this little move.
This Jedi mind trick? Yes. It's my culture.
It's all right.
I blame my culture, so therefore I have to do it. I was taught to do it, Omar.
Well, here it is.
Son of Nubius.
That's okay. You can call me whatever you want.
What is it? Son of what?
Anubis?
Anubis.
Yeah.
Siddhartha says, go ahead.
Siddhartha Jardula, here's the final question of the podcast.
Yes, it is, sir.
What is the one word that comes to your mind when Venus flytrap is introduced? What is it? If nothing else, it is this. There's no wrong answer. But what is I'm curious.
Just mystic.
It's mystic.
It is. It seems like an alien form. It seems like something that is not of this earth.
Okay, so like
it seems like it's a plant from Venus that the Martians left behind.
So when the hummingbird goes up to it,
yes,
to eat, what happens to the hummingbird?
The hummingbird gets fucked.
Yeah, he gets offed.
Yes.
Okay, so it is
the big ones though that not even around here.
Yeah,
the ones that are stiff.
Sure.
I mean, because you know how fast the hummingbird is.
Country-fed ones.
Hummingbirds stand still. Time, mystic. Yeah. These things were left by the Martians.
I was thinking illusion. You know, the Venus flytrap is an illusion for it to survive. It has to capitalize on the fact that it's an illusion.
Yes.
So if we take a microcosm and we can figure out the macrocosm, that's what we want in metaphysics. And you take something like that, okay, so if that is in nature and it is an illusion, then maybe nature itself is an illusion.
See,
oh, goodness.
You can't get too deep at the end of the segment right now. We have to wrap this up and come to... I was trying to get us off base here now because now I'm in the mystic world. We need to watch Game of Thrones.
We'll do another segment soon and we'll start with this.
I don't want to go near the Venus flytrap for a while.
Thank you for listening.
Hey, man, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Siddhartha Jardula, you're welcome on this podcast.
Son of Anubis.
Anubis.
Damn, Anubis. I will get it right one time.
It's
Son of
okay.
Anubis.
I like it. I like what you do. We're out of here. If you want to tweet, @MatterConscious. Have a good one. Yeah, but...
When you get deep in these segments.
I mean...